So, I'm going to talk about...
Wait, one more thing. How do I turn off the...
I know, I'll show you. Come. This button on the left. He's going to learn. Okay. So I'm going to talk about Gloria. My friend Gloria. So I was friends with Gloria before I really was friends with Loretta. And that sounds weird, doesn't it? She was a weird lady, actually. When I was 13, I used to take the tram to school. I used to take a few trams. I could have taken one bus. I took 3 trams to be with friends. And a year later, Robin was on the tram, often going to her school. I was at a boys' school, she was at the sister school, so we'd meet from time to time. So I actually knew Robin before Loretta, really. So if I'm 13, Loretta is 11, 12, so I'm not interested in an 11, 12-year-old because I'm pre-testosterone and Loretta's pre-estrogen. So there was a girl living across the road from my best friend at school, Andrew Sugarman. And he said there's a Jewish girl across the road, and he rang today. Good. So I'd go with Shuggy and Leon Rose, and Raoul knows these characters. Robin, of course. And on the tram, and we'd have to switch a few trams. At one stop on the way home, there's the woman who lives across the road, the mother of the girl, called Gloria, who's working in an antique shop. So we'd go in there, and as any teenage kid would do, you'd stir. Stir is Australian slang for
mucking
around, talk cheekily. So she take the mickey out. Okay. So Gloria was a lot of fun to be around, and she was actually the first adult who I could talk to as sort of an equal, in my own sort of humorous, or trying to be humorous way. And she was interested in me and my 2 mates as well. It was fun for everybody. So that's how I became friends really with Loretta's mother before Loretta. So we took the tram, she was in the antique store, and then a year or 2 later, Loretta's growing up and I'm starting to get interested. She was already interested in me long before, and apparently, that's how it works.
No one believes her.
Yeah. So what do I like about Gloria? She took me seriously, sort of. She was the only Jewish woman I knew who could speak English properly, and because my mother's generation were all Polish survivors. She was quite a bit younger. She was, say, 42 then. That sounds pretty young now, doesn't it? She was 42 and I was 13. It's about 30 years odd between us. And so that was sort of exotic, which sounds absurd to think an English woman in Australia is exotic, but from my point of view it was. And she was interested in sort of having a relationship. Hello. Oh, Daniela. Wow. אני מתנצל, אני מדבר באנגלית, אבל אני מדבר איתך בעברית אחר כך. בוא תתיישבו.
יש צדיקים ששומעים.
Yeah. Can you open the seats? Yeah. Thank you. דניאל, הגננת של הילדים שלנו. שלום, ברוכים הבאים. I later on found out that she could cook, which actually really meant I found out my mother couldn't cook. Because, you know, you eat what you're given and you know what you know. And Gloria was making all this exotic food like fried steak and baking different things, which were quite yummy at the time. I wouldn't eat them now, but it was quite yummy and different vibe, different smell. And it was fun to be around her. As we got older, really into the late teenage years, Friday night after dinner, the friends would all gather at Loretta's house. There's this cohort of friends, and Loretta's parents, Gloria and Ziggy, were always very welcoming, fed us well, laughed with us. I could read the paper, we could watch the 2 Ronnies. Anybody here who's English knows what they are, or Australian? You didn't watch TV on Friday night, did you, Nathan?
Still watch the 2 Ronnies.
Still watch the 2 Ronnies. On YouTube now. So, of course, I was comparing, this was exotic compared to my parents. Different, they had the antique furniture. My parents had all these 70s modern, super modern stuff. It was really different. But what Gloria and actually Ziggy, Harvey, had in common with my parents were that they were survivors. Now, what does survivors for us mean? Somebody who survived the camps. And Loretta's both fathers, the one who died when she was 2 and Ziggy, who came into her family when she was 6, were both Eastern European survivors. My parents were both survivors of the Holocaust. And I didn't really realize that Gloria was a survivor too. And those of you who know her, knew her, read some of the stuff she wrote, sort of a autobiography, we realized she had a very difficult childhood. And I came to realize after Loretta and I had made Aliyah, we had a house that our parents were sort of renting out on our behalf, and of course our parents were supposed to split the work, and Gloria would disappear for a while and not look after the place when it was her turn. And in retrospect, she was obviously depressed from time to time and would sort of disappear from the world and sink. And my parents just couldn't understand how, like what's wrong with her. And if my parents could manage in life, as they did in their own way, having been Holocaust survivors, what's the problem with an English girl? Well, the problem was she had a terrible childhood, and my parents, I know my mother, did have a very loving childhood. My dad didn't really speak about it. I'm not sure. I hope he did, but I never really knew. So, as some of you who know her story, she escaped her parents in 1956 and immigrated to Australia. There was a program to encourage British, Irish immigration to Australia in the 50s and 60s, and for £10 you could get a passage to Australia and live there for, all you had to do was live there for 3 years, have somebody to sort of sponsor you in case you got into trouble. So she managed to arrange to go, and her parents waved her goodbye from a distance at the port, and she started her life. Now that's a lot of guts to do, and she really made a life, which and part of her life now is Loretta. Our kids and grandkids. And interestingly enough, I don't know if it was analysed, of course she married survivors. And you can think of what the reason she may have done that. Maybe because they were outcasts as well. Maybe because, and she married a guy who was going to die of renal failure 2 years later. We don't know really why, but she connected with these people of a different background, in different conditions, and she made as good a life as she could, which was a pretty good life, and made Aliyah when Daniel was born, and got to grow up and have special relationships with each of our kids. Of course, that all fell apart when Ziggy, the second husband, died in 1996, and from then it was often very difficult. What I've noticed, I was thinking about it today at work. I'm gonna have to speak about Gloria tonight. What can I say? And you realise the importance of how do people manage in life. Life's difficult for everybody from time to time. Sometimes it's terribly difficult a lot of the time. And as a doctor today, I was especially noticing the people who have a certain mind frame, feel like they have a purpose in life, feel like they have people that care for them, whether they be friends or family or community, do better. And I'm blessed that we're blessed that we have this community. You that have come tonight, people that have been with us all the week, people that have been with us over the years, people that we hope that we've helped you through your difficult times, and will continue to do so. So I'm grateful for the gifts Gloria gave me, primarily Loretta. She's, as you know, she's a wonderful girl, and she really saved her mother for many years. The minhag when you're in Evel is not to go to any parties, mesibot, for the first year, and that's supposed to be as a payback for the first year. When you're born, you need to be looked after for the first period of time, the first year, or in the cat's point of view, the first 3 months, and then off they go into the wild. The sooner the better. So it turns out Loretta needed extra help. She wasn't well as a baby with allergies and asthma. And amazingly, were you ever hospitalized, darling? No. But Loretta was often sick, and Loretta's father, Jack, who died when she was 2, was sick often and hospitalized often, and Gloria had to bring up a child, look after and visit a sick husband, make some sort of living. And she also benefited from a community of people, some of whom, including Stephen Katz, our friend, the young rabbi who spoke at the funeral, was representative of the next generation of some of these friends, and people from the Chabad Beth Rivka community as well. Where's Leah? Oh, there you are. So Loretta got more than 1 year from her mother, but she sure paid it back in the last years. Look after her mum. And she has infinite patience and love, and managed her mum just like our kids, and I guess me, managed her mum. She wasn't an easy person to be with often, very often. Ayelet taught me, where are you, Ayelet? Ayelet taught me an English word this week, snarky. Usually I'm teaching my kids English, but that's American, isn't it? Snarky, which I think means oktsani, or sort of a little bit. And that's, if you really knew Gloria, that was her. And I know most of you, if you know her, knew her in her difficult last years, but she had many difficult previous years as well. But just like when a patient comes in, and Mia will realise it as well, you see sick old patients coming in, you don't know what they were like when they were young and vibrant and healthy and lived normal-ish lives, and they're just dealing with ill health or not being able to manage their lives or work out which doctors to go to. And I often ask them to bring in a picture of when they were young, or tell me something about how they met, because it also humanises them. We just see, so you see somebody who takes 10 minutes to get into the room, and you're not so keen on them coming in because it'll take them 10 minutes to get out. But everybody deserves their time and their story being heard. So this is the story of me and Gloria. You may have heard from Daniel from the funeral that Gloria, the morning she died, before she went into unconsciousness, we sat around and Daniel played some Spanish guitar. Ayala. Daniel, the love of music would have come through Gloria. She managed to educate herself informally with a lot of music and culture and art. Some of her own art craft work are displayed inside. And so when Daniel was playing guitar, she really enjoyed it, and she sort of lifted up her arms as if to dance or enjoy the music. And then it was Friday morning, so we sang Eshet Chayil. And then, and then tragedy. We pulled out a song that we wrote for about 17 years ago to the tune of Waterloo by ABBA, and we called it Safter Gert, and it was about her cleaning. We sent her a video holding toilet brushes, as if it was silly, and she loved it at the time. She was in Australia at the time, so we tried to reprise the song without rehearsals, without knowing the lyrics, and it was terrible. And she pulled her hands up over her ears, and not long after she really went into consciousness. So we killed Safter in the end. Now, she did have a sense of humour. I told you that's what I clicked with in the beginning. And she needed a lot of work and cajoling and humour, and you had to be very sensitive around her. But in the war, which was when England was being bombed, when London was being bombed by the Germans in 1940-41, that was called the Blitz. They were bombing at night time, and there was a lot of destruction, and a lot of people hid in the underground because it was safe. And of course there were war songs, like there are war songs here, and they used to have sing-alongs. And hi Aaron, hi Lisa, hi Adam. There would be a sing-along, and around this time at school, I went to a school where you used to sing every week for 2 hours, and we learned songs from the Second World War, British songs. So this is something I knew the words, so I could sing along with Gloria. I don't know how much she enjoyed it. She certainly didn't enjoy it in the later years, but it was something I could do with her, and we'd have fun. So the song that I would sing with her or to her was "We'll Meet Again." Do you know that one? We'll meet again. So if you know it, you can sing along. This is sing along with Safta. If you don't know it, we do our best. I'm sorry I don't have many words. Okay. So who does know it? We'll meet, me and Loretta. Okay, so it's the Beliks. Don't you know it?
Hit song in
Big hit 1939, Aaron, remember?
in which city in Australia?
No, it's big. I'll sing it. I'll sing it, and then we have a special surprise finale. We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. You hear me, Robin? Keep smiling through, just like you always do, till the blue skies drive the dark clouds far away. So will you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know that as you saw me go, I was singing this song all together now. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. That was Dave Vera. Special guest star. I hope you can hear this. That's the end of the world.
That was about 6 weeks ago. And she just felt like singing. Just like that.
We'll meet again. Anybody want to share something about Safta?
No stress if you don't.
Yeah, well, I would say that we bonded over a song too, but it was a rock song called Gloria, so.
Gloria by Van Morrison.
We bonded over
She,
red wine.
we sang that to her as
And
well.
the red wine, of course, because she finally found someone who likes red wine.
Yeah.
Drink with at your house, yes.
Gloria, Gloria, you know the one? Gloria? David knows. Red wine she liked. Baruch Hashem.
In those days.
Didn't mention the dog.
Okay, Raul's a dog person. What do you know, Raul?
Did a cocker spaniel.
Here, Jamie.
Black dog.
Jamie, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I remember from the place. Dog.
She had many dogs. She loved her dogs.
Just like
Actually,
you.
The week before she died, she said she wished she had a dog. I mean, she said that many times, but it would have made a big difference to her life.
Safta smoked a lot of cigarettes. We kept calculating how much money she would have had if she didn't. Would have had a big house in Ranana.
We're going to have this big house in Ranana.
And as the cancer increased, the pain increased, and so she was prescribed marijuana, which I was excited about. And as it increased, Dad, Dr. Harvey Belik, encouraged me to roll Safta joint so that she could ease the pain. So I rolled the joint. I sat outside on the balcony. I was super excited for this experience with Safta, and I lit it for her, and she took a whiff, and she spat it out. She said, "What is this?" And it was about most of the tobacco was her cigarettes. Somehow she picked up the scent and she completely turned it down, and I was very disappointed. And I never got to actually experience smoking with Safta, but we were so close to it.
Smoking with Safta. Smoke along with Safta, yeah.
My wife Leslie became really close to Gloria, and I think she played a really important role because Loretta was just too close, and when people get old, close to death, they kind of lose all their filters. And Loretta was the recipient of that lots of filters. So,
She didn't have many filters, David.
ever? I didn't know her. So,
Yep, they had a great relationship. If Leslie was here, she'd be sharing some stuff.
I beat her at Rummy Cube once.
You did? She was pissed.
Yeah, she was. She was really sore about it.
She's a sore loser.
It was the first time I'd ever played it, too.
Beginner's luck,
I was
classical.
Just before I forget, Robin. Yeah, look, she had Ezra, the volunteer organisation here in Ranana, has like a befriending program. People that want to volunteer to be with somebody who needs company, friendship. So there's a woman, Chana, an English woman, who would visit Safta once a week for years and play Scrabble. And Safta was always so proud to say how much she killed her by. And actually when Safta started to not do so well and lose, that's when Safta encouraged Hannah not to come anymore. It's true.
Which is very sad for her.
Robin.
I played Scrabble with her also.
Yes, Scrabble.
At some point, a little bit.
Yeah.
And she liked it. And also for my kids, our kids, she was the only subject in their life.
Yeah.
They had a Uber and a other name for nuts.
Yeah. So Loretta and I are the Sabra and Safta in the lives of our close friends at the moment, in Israel at least. And any of you who still have parents, you know it's going to pass, and we know it's difficult. And the respect that you can give and love you can give to parents who are dying, especially those, it's difficult when you're overseas. We've got friends with parents overseas. Also difficult. It's always difficult. But the brilliant thing about Loretta was 3 years ago, before Loretta's mother declined, she organised this wonderful party in this garden. So many of you were here for that. We had everything had to be ready. The pool, the grass down in the last minute, and we had speeches. We had Shuli Natan come and sing, and that was the highlight of Gloria's life, I think, in her later life. Apart from having grandkids and living in Israel, that was the kavod and the love that she had. There's the booklet here that you can see inside that was produced by Meira. She's a wise woman, my wife. And that was a lovely way to go. And in the end, she went with music, surrounded by her family. It was a lovely end of life. It was a bit too long, the whole foreplay. No, that's not the word, was it?
Outro. It's a long outro.
Yeah, but the actual last day or two, Jonathan and Hiba coming in, got Daniel and Mira and the kids, Ayelet and Miriam, and to be around her the night before in the morning and sing to her, send her off, have dinner, Shabbat dinner in the room next to her while she was sleeping, organize a funeral, make sure we found out where the ambulance had taken it to be refrigerated so we could have the funeral with her. True story. And the funeral was very special. And this week has been beautiful for all of us. I'll just say on behalf of Loretta, if I may, now that we have a minion, of friends, thank you to the wonderful friends who looked after us all this week, fed us, been around us, people have come to visit. It's hard to leave your normal life and come and see somebody and sit with them and listen and really ask about and want to know about Gloria, whether you knew her or you didn't know her. I know it's been a loving week, which we've all enjoyed. I know that's it's a strange word to use. It's a beautiful thing, Shiva, and the Jewish religion is pretty smart. I think it's the first startup, Shiva, for example. Successful innovation. And next week we sort of get back into normal life, and those of you who've lost people know that's the difficult time, really. And then it's always difficult in different ways. But I know that we can feel from all of us, especially Loretta, that her mother got so much love and was treated so patiently. And that's a big blessing that I wish all of us have to our loved ones and from our loved ones. Cut. Right.
Turn it on now, Yana.
That was practice.
עכשיו בעברית. אקשון.